double toil and trouble. Some topics discussed may make people uncomfortable. For fair is foul and foul is fair. On this podcast, we will definitely swear. A lot. Now round the cauldron go, trigger warnings listed in the notes below. Thrice and once the hedge pig whined, the cocktails cry, it's time, it's time.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Maiden, mother, crone. Plot twist, we're all the crone. The stories aren't all made up and the points don't matter.
Welcome listeners to the Wyrd Sisters, a podcast about the blurst and bizarre and all the things you were happier not knowing about.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Laura. I am a swampy bloated corpse.
Hi, I'm Lacey, and I'll let you pat my porcelain skin for money.
And I'm Taya, I'm the thing making the noise in your attic.
Welcome, ladies, to our Coven meeting. It's Creepmas.
Yay! Creepmas.
And for this week's special episode, we're doing Home Invaders.
Yes, because what else is Santa, really, but a home invader?
So I'm first this week. And I would like to apologise for any mispronunciations of names, because they're all German.
Yay!
Ladies, audience, have we heard of Hinterkaifeck?
Yes!
Our favourite.
My body is
so
ready.
excited that you are doing this because I love hearing about it and I want to know what weird details you dredged up.
I found some cool ones. It was fun. This was fun. As always, research is always fun. But this one was just like, ooh, and then a little deeper, and then, ooh, again. Very nice. So for those that don't know, Hinterkaifeck is a farmstead in Germany. It's near Bavaria, I believe. And on the night of March 31st, 1922, the Gruber family and their maid were brutally butchered and left stacked high in their barn, and the murderer lived in their house for several days afterwards.
That's what's most fucked up about it, right? Like, he just hung around.
He just hung around.
We don't know their pronouns. They hung around.
They hung around. The Grubers must have had good food.
Yeah.
What time of year was it?
March, Germany, cold?
Yeah.
Warming?
No, cold.
You are our resident knowledge house on this, so you tell us.
No, and Bavaria is cold as fuck.
Yes.
Carry on.
They named us a frozen dessert after it. Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So the Gruber family was made up of Andreas, who was 63, his wife, Kazilia.
Yep.
Well done.
She was 72. They had a 32-year-old daughter named Victoria, and her daughter was also named Kazilia. She was 7, and she also had a 2-year-old son named Joseph. So everything wasn't idyllic on this farm, even prior to all of the murder. There was another scandal amongst the Grubers. So Andreas and his daughter were convicted of incest in 1915.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So Victoria actually served a month of jail time for it, and Andreas was sent away for an entire year to serve his sentence elsewhere.
I love that was illegal.
Right?
Fucking hell.
Yeah. For some reason, I guess just hardened, just German perseverance was like, with incest in the family, it's fine, we're just going to move on, and no one seemed to really be bothered by it because everyone's still living as a family, like X amount of years later.
Yeah, can you imagine being like his wife, Kazilia? And just being like, welcome home, dears.
Yes. Yikes.
To our marriage bed.
Yeah.
That you have defiled.
Yeah, so it is suspected that Victoria's son Joseph was actually a product of their incestuous relationship.
Oh yeah, because she doesn't have a husband.
Yeah. So
dun, dun, dun.
he was only 2 at the time of the murders, and they were convicted of it in 1915. So there is like a solid chunk of time where they're probably still fucking after their sentence. Like, if he is the product of incest,
Fucking wild. Wait, what year was the murder?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Convicted of incest in 15.
So, is the young girl Kazilia?
Yes.
Is she basically named after her grandmother, and is she the product of incest between?
I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't find anything on the daughter. It was all about the son.
Hi, Mum. I'm fucking Dad, but I will name our kid after you.
Yeah,
because if
I was going to say sorry.
2 children in 1922 in like a European, any European setting really, like, people weren't cool with that when there's no husband around. Was she
Yeah.
married?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so. There was someone.
But he wasn't there.
That comes later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's that. So let's fast forward from that to 1922. So this is just full of horror movie cliches. I don't know why they stayed in the house.
Mine were dumb too, don't worry. So dumb.
The consensus. But even before the murders, just so much weird shit went down in Hinterkaifeck. So the family had a maid who quit 6 months prior to the murders, supposedly because she believed the house was haunted. So this was never in any of her like official statements or anything like that, but like that's the consensus with all of this research online. Is like she thought ghosts, you get the fuck out. You're smart. She's alive. She was alive.
Yeah, still?
Yeah.
No.
And then, moving on, Andreas found a newspaper from Munich on his property about a month before the murders happened, so like they were quite far from Munich. And he thought, oh, maybe the postman just might have delivered it by accident, but like no one in the area was subscribed to that newspaper. Why was there a newspaper from Munich that far out in the country? We don't know.
You totally know what newspapers your like neighbours were
Oh,
subscribed
absolutely.
to. You'd know everything about them. You'd be like,
Yeah.
fucking Mary and Joseph started subscribing to the New Yorker down the road. Getting a bit hoity-toity.
And then around a week before the attacks, Andreas found footprints walking towards the house from the nearby woods, but no tracks that led back.
That's fucked. That's the one that always gets me. I'm like, yeah, but who? You got like 8 people in this house. Less than that. You've got way less than that. 8's a very high number. And none of them were in the woods. That's, yeah.
Just through the... I assume there was snow. I picture it as there being snow. All the pictures...
I find a hair that's a funny colour in my house. I'm like, it was here.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
So suspicious.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why we would survive.
Or end up in a asylum because we've gone crazy with fear.
And then, like, to top it all off, like, a bunch of sets of house keys went missing.
That's fine.
Like,
Change the
yeah,
locks.
change the locks. And none of this was like, just like red flags everywhere. It was awful. And during the same week, the family heard sounds coming from their attic, footsteps. When Andres went upstairs, he found nothing. But like everyone was like, we hear them up there.
That's wild. Where did they go?
Where did they go?
How big is this attic?
Where did they go?
Ghost.
There is one last detail, though, thanks to Wikipedia. Citation needed. Supposedly, the family had seen a man with a mustache, standing at the edge of the woods, and he was watching the house. So, like, I tried to click on all the sources, but there was no, like, source. So, like, this is a cool detail that, like, it may not, perhaps, but, like, that's so spooky. Just, like, a dude watching.
With a mustache.
Yeah.
With a mustache. So suspicious.
My dad has a mustache. They're
the
very
first-
sinister.
The first thing that you said, like, the fact that it was a man with a mustache, I'm like, it's 1922 in Germany. Who doesn't have a fucking mustache? The women have mustache.
Hitler had the mustache.
Everyone's got a fucking mustache. But, yeah, the watching the house part, less cool.
No.
Bit creepier.
We're not about that. So first mistake, just Andres never reported any of the strange happenings to the police, even when the house keys went missing. He gossiped to a bunch of the neighbours and was like, hey, fucking weird shit's going on down my house. Can you believe? But nothing official, which is fucked. A neighbour, his name's Lorenz, who we'll come into it later, offered to lend Andres his gun for protection when he told him about the footsteps. Like, but obviously he must have declined
No gun.
because no gun and murder.
It's odd
assumption
that a
is-
farmer wouldn't have his own
Yeah,
gun.
my first assumption is, like, you'd have guns on your house.
Yeah, and
property.
in 1922, you'd
Yeah.
have lots of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single member of your family would have guns.
Yeah.
This was after the First World War, though, so I don't know what was the distribution of guns like in Germany
Were they
at
still
that point,
pretty
because they
lax?
failed.
They did.
So did they take them away? Were they?
Well, more than half the country was trained to murder.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rise of the Nazi Party didn't happen until 1933. But
Yeah.
it would have happened at the end of the 20s. But plenty of guns around. Plenty of unregistered guns.
Crime.
Crime! Crime!
Alrighty. So on the morning of the March 31st, here we go, another name. Maria Baumgartner. Baumgartner?
Yeah.
That sounded good.
Yeah.
Baumgartner.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
She was the new housemaid. So she arrived at Hinterkaifeck. Her sister escorted her there. Probably the last person to see Maria or any of the groupers alive besides the killer. Which is pretty spooky.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny how the day that she arrived was when all the shit went down.
Yeah.
As well. It's like, ooh. It's like a bad omen, like maybe
Yeah.
the spooky stuff follows her. Who knows? So Maria didn't last very long.
In this world.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that night, so this is where we're starting to get into the gory details.
Tell us.
So that night she suffered a fatal blow to the head and was left dead inside the house along with baby Joseph.
That's right. Yeah. Baby was not spared.
No. Baby went crunch.
Oh.
It's thought that each of the family members were lured out to the barn one by one and then murdered with a mattock, which is like a pickaxe.
I'd love to know how we lured them out there one by one.
That's
like, what'd
what
you
I was
do?
thinking.
Everyone's gone out to the barn and no one's fucking come back.
Right?
But so would you be like, you know, would you call them being like, oh, I need some help like this and pretend to be the dad? And
I know what my dad sounds like, though.
Yeah.
There's fucking 4 people that I've heard the voices of in the last week over and over again because they're the only people within 100 fucking meters of my house. I know what my dad sounds like. Some random dude going, hello, please come to the barn. I'm like, that's not my dad.
No.
I'm not going to go out
They've
there.
probably been forced at gunpoint.
Potentially.
Yeah.
That was a detail I didn't know that they were lured, apparently. So I was like, surely not. Like, that's just one theory. But, like, because besides the maid and Joseph, besides Marie and Joseph, I believe everyone else was stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
And hidden
'cause-
with hay.
I know you're going to say this later, so I won't
Yeah,
say it.
no,
but
it's okay.
because this is a horrifying detail.
Yes.
But
So it's probably the detail I didn't know about, so it's really good. Yeah. So, so then after that, here's where we get the gore warning. So Carzilia Senior's cause of death was bludgeoning and strangulation. So she just got caved. She got
Oof.
domed. And then she just got...
oh,
Yeah.
that she wasn't dead
Yeah.
when she would have been
Like,
strangled.
she's probably, like, smacked and then strangled is a time.
They wanted to make sure she was
Yeah.
super dead. Yeah.
So Victoria had the side of her face caved in along with the crown of her skull. So someone smacked it on the side and then smacked her on top. So it's like folded in on
Wow.
one side. Oh, so there's like some malice there. This is one of my favorite details. Favorite? Murder? We'll see. Andreas was described as having his face shredded.
Wow.
So jagged bones and all sorts were just sticking out fucking everywhere.
Oh, that sounds angry.
Yeah.
They always destroy the faces of the ones that they know.
And like, yeah, and like, so this is what we get to later, but like the daughter's face was fucking caved and the dad's face was shredded and there was rumored incest. Ooh, there's malice.
Well, were the others, like, did they have the same level?
Well, Kazilia Jr., the daughter, the 7-year-old, had her jaw crushed and her throat cut. But the most disturbing part, which is the part I didn't know, is that she remained alive long enough to pull fistfuls of her own hair out in terror.
Yeah.
So when they found her, she had like bald patches over her head and just tufts of hair just balled into her fist. Like she would have like, yeah. So from what I've read, I feel like she was probably killed last. Because like there's that primal terror of this kid, like I'm fucking alone.
Or alternatively, she was so small and immobile that even if he didn't kill her straight away, it didn't matter.
Yes.
He doesn't care. She's not going to do anything.
No.
She's dying. She can die and watch.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so that was the detail I didn't know, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I remember that very vividly. I remember her, like, the whole thing about her pulling her hair
Yeah.
out. It's really fucked up. I looked at the crime scene photos because I'm a sicko.
Oh, yeah, they're good. They're good. They're bad.
There's a lot of problematic words
Yeah.
that we're using to describe
They
it.
exist.
Yes, they exist. That is the most comfortable way to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, so Hinterkaifeck is like pretty remote. All of the neighbours are a ways away, but not too dissimilar to rural Australia. Like out where like I live and like some of my high school friends, like it's a solid like 15-minute walk to the next property. Yeah, so no one heard anything when they were getting murdered. Like obviously there'd have been like horrendous screams and disgusting sounds, but like no one heard a thing because everyone's too far away.
Yeah.
So life went on as normal, basically, for the rural area. The chimney puffed smoke for 4 days after the murders. Whoever killed the Groovers slept in their beds, ate their food, read their books, all while their bodies lay rotting in the barn. Yuck. So eventually they were found. So, like, the mailman would deliver mail and, like, oh, Saturday's mail's still there and it is Monday. Or, like, I think I read somewhere that, like, there was coffee salesmen, because that was how you got your coffee back then. Like, the coffee man would come and, like, they came and, like, no one answered. And, like, oh, I've got to fill their order. They're normally always on time.
And coffee is a big thing in
Yeah.
Germany and in Austria. Coffee and Kuchen.
Oh,
Coffee and cake.
that's delightful. Such a good word for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that stuff.
There you go.
So yeah, eventually, like, they were found. Police were, like, fucking floored. Like, they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, whoever did it obviously legged it.
Yep.
They're gone. So they did some initial autopsies on the bodies, and then they couldn't figure out. Like, they knew how they died, but they're just like, there's no evidence. We don't have the science. There is no CSI unit to figure this out.
No
so
DNA.
What do? They sever each head, send them off to Munich.
Love
Munich
it.
can figure it out, but only the head. I guess that's where all the trauma was. Apparently, and one very small source, was like one throwaway sentence, which I was a little annoyed. I wanted some more expanse on this. Apparently, the heads were sent to a clairvoyant.
Okay.
But obviously nothing came of that, because that's all I could find.
It's obvious that they had no fucking idea
Yeah.
what was going on then.
Yeah.
It's kind of a last resort of the police, isn't it? To be like, let's get a spirit spook
Yeah.
to tell us what's going on.
And then the skulls were lost during World War II. So they're all gone. Unlucky. Just kind of, it's horribly sad.
It
Because
is.
all of their bodies were, like, buried without a head.
Yeah.
They just,
Even the baby?
yeah,
Wow.
every
Okay.
single one.
So they were
apparently.
all nonged in the head, and that was it. That was the only place that they were like,
Beaten.
they weren't mutilated or
No,
beaten.
apparently not. Like, the maid got off pretty quickly. I think she was just kind of like, get her out of the way. Like, she was struck down. She
Yep.
wasn't mutilated. But everyone else seemed to, like, in this horrendous rage.
Even the baby?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's some details about that. I thought maybe we'll skip those ones.
No, tell.
Just fucking very similar to everyone else, just face.
Yep.
But also,
Wow,
babies'
and
heads are so soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't have all the fontelles grown together.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so fucked up. I don't like
Super
it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I mean,
they're-
horrible, but
Yeah.
yes.
It's interesting. it's a whole old history now. It's interesting again. It's past that cool off period where it's cool and
Yeah.
Is there any theories?
There are a lot. There's a lot of suspects. Like, a lot, but like the one that, like, when I was reading, I was like, it was him.
It's obvious. My detective instincts
Yes,
tell me.
I've solved the crime. So way back when, at the start of the story, Lorenz Schlittenbau, the neighbor that was like, here's the gun. So apparently, it is believed that he may have been Joseph's father,
Oh.
or he believed he was the father, but he was. So we still no one actually knows for sure. Was he incest? Was he not? Was Lorenz his father? Was he not? And yeah, so could Lorenz have committed the murder out of hate for Victoria because he thought that his son was his, but it wasn't? Or had he found out that, like, yes, if Joseph was Andrea's son?
Nuts.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I thought I remembered something about a husband that had died for...
Yes, there is
Yeah.
another one where, because she did have, it was either a husband or a boyfriend, it was whatever. He was supposedly had died in the First World War. He
Yeah.
went MIA, and then a lot of people believe, like, hey, MIA isn't dead. It's
Yeah,
missing in
imagine if you
action.
come home and you find your fucking wife and her dad
Yes.
getting it on.
Exactly. So there's also that, like, was the neighbor just happened to be, like, fucking, and then, like, was he Joseph's dad, or was, like, her, like, long dead husband / partner came back from the war and saw that she was getting dirty with dad? And so there's all these, like, theories, but that one as well was way up there.
But to stay in their house, eat their food, and hang out, that is a level of entitlement that the average crazy fucker from the forest does not have.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of knowledge of the family. I mean, I don't know shit. I really know nothing. But It seems like you'd have to know, and you'd have to know, like, you could get away with doing this for a couple of days to hang around the house in the first place for a
Exactly.
couple of days longer, and then to stay in the house. Even if you are, you have an idea of how a German farm works in small town, to know that no one's going to pop up
Yes.
for at least a few days, probably know who they are.
That's why Lorenzo was thinking, oh yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
But then it could be the husband away at war. Who knows?
What a lot of people did when you got pregnant, you would just say, oh, my husband died in the war.
Oof. Yeah.
That's what you'd say. Because that means you're a widow. That's still respectable. And you just change your last name.
I'm not following. What? I don't understand. I'm stupid.
So, you are a hot lady
Yep.
in the 1920s.
Yep.
Okay? You're pregnant. You have no husband.
Oh,
Yeah,
I get
you
it.
say
of
he
course.
died in the war and that's why
There's
I don't
no
have
Facebook
one.
to prove that you never had a
Yeah. And a fuckload of people died in the war. You could take your pick.
Sweet. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Be like, I like his last name. He looks pretty sexy. That'll be my pretend husband.
And then when my baby's ugly, like my fucking dad.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That is the story of Hinterkaifeck.
Yay! Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a
love
lot
that.
of fun.
I mean, it's... every time I say something like this, it feels fucked up, but I'm not alone. I know that there's a lot of creeps who get into this shit all the
Yes.
time. I love the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders. I think they're very interesting. I think they're just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Amazing. Tay, do you have a... No, wait.
Hi, Tay.
You're Tay. Lacey, you have a story for us.
I do. Can I find it?
Oh, God.
Holy fuck.
You
Holy
don't know how to use
fuck.
computers
Oh, no,
yet.
I found it. I opened up another thing. Don't. I'm a dickhead.
Okay, Grandma.
Okay.
Oh, crones here. It's fine.
We are all croons here. Oh, my goodness.
So for our true crime episode, part of the episode, this is my favourite home invaders story.
Oh, God.
This is the story of the Denver Spider-Man.
Know the name
Never
of
heard of
this.
this.
Yeah.
I know, I like to get deep into the internet to find you that good shit, man. Okay. Philip and Helen Peters' bungalow at 3335 West Moncrief Place can be found on a quiet street in Denver, Colorado. Helen kept the garden immaculate, and frequently the sound of Philip's mandolin could be heard drifting out of an open window, filling the street with sweet music.
Ooh.
Philip was a dedicated musician and a long-time member of the Denver Guitar Club, where he and his wife gave guitar and mandolin lessons. And now here's where it all goes downhill from here. Philip, now a retired auditor of the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad, had lived with his wife Helen in their home in West Moncrief Place for over 3 decades. But in October of 1941, Helen was recovering in hospital after breaking her hip in a fall, and all their children had grown up and left to start their own families. So Philip was alone in the house for what could have been maybe the first time ever in his life. So because this is the 1940s and men couldn't cook yet, his neighbours would invite him over to theirs each night so he could enjoy a healthy dinner and have like leftovers so he could take it to like lunch the next day.
Awesome.
I know. But on the night of the 17th of October, he had not shown up for his evening meal. The neighbours quickly became worried and went over to check on him, but nobody came to the door and the house was dark. They tried all the doors and window screens, but the house was locked up tight. They did, however, manage to pry one of the screens loose, loose enough for one of the neighbour's children, a young girl,
Oh, God.
Do you know this story? I'm sorry.
to climb inside.
Still don't know it. I'm sitting at the edge of the bed. I need to know more.
It's the locked room.
It is the locked
Yep.
room.
Yeah.
Here we go. So, to climb inside. Everything was quiet when she entered the dark house. So the gathered neighbours weren't too concerned
Just send this fucking kid in there.
until they heard her piercing screams.
Yay!
That kid became one of us.
Yeah.
Powerful lungs.
Powerful lungs. It's me.
See you in the 40s.
So when the police arrived, they discovered the body of Philip Peters. He was bloody, half-dressed, barefooted, and had been beaten and beaten long until after he was very, very dead.
Oh, shit.
Fuck.
So the coroner concluded that he had been struck a total of 37 times
That poor kid finding this.
with a cast iron stove shaker.
Oh, fuck. Wait,
So-
what's a stove shaker?
This is what I had to call my dad for. And he,
Please tell us.
and
what
he
the
did not
fuck.
know what it was. So I was like, fuck. I was, because he knows old things. So I found out what it was because I was like, I want to know what the murder weapon was. So back in the day when we all had wooden coal burning stoves, there was a crank that went into the stove and stir up all the coals to
Yes.
equally heat the thing. So it was a crank you popped in, turned it around, and took it out. So it was kind of like, it's sort of like a bent tire iron.
Right, yep, okay. I see
Okay,
what
so
you're
it had its own handle.
Yep.
It's cast iron, it's heavy as fuck. It's a good murder weapon.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fireplace poker, but just with a bend in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So the police described the slaying as, quote, brutal and without mercy, unquote, and believed the killer to be a giant in size as there was a considerable amount of blood on the ceiling.
On the ceiling.
But then, like, you think about blood splatter. Like, if you've fucking beaten a body 37 times to the point that, like, I mean, he's dead and you're beating him with something. Skin's not very tough. It's pretty fragile when you're fucking hitting someone with, for all intents and purposes, a fireplace poker.
Yeah.
When you lift it, it's going to be pretty long. It's not going to be, like, small. And the ceilings weren't very high in the 40s, I'm guessing, because
I don't know.
every time I go on an old house, I almost touch a fucking ceiling. When you lift it,
Yeah.
there's a lot of flinging of blood just going to up at the ceiling.
Pulpy.
I don't know if you'd have to be very big to do that. I just think you just got to have a lot of force when you lift your
Yeah.
arm back to beat him again.
But they were like, he's tall.
Okay.
Whatever this is.
I'm going to believe the police know more than me
tall.
about this. I'm hesitant to believe it, but I will.
Cool. So all the doors were locked with a key and further secured with a security chain. So the murderer.
How the fuck did he get out?
How the fuck did he get out?
This is how I remember this, because, like, it's something that pops up all the time in, like, writing scripts for horror and crime and thrillers and stuff. Is like, if you're going to do a locked room thing,
There has
there's
to be a logical way.
Yes, has to be a logical way for the killer to fucking leave. But it gets done all the time in, like,
CSI. And,
yeah, CSI and, like, older than that, like, detective novels and shit.
Yes.
Yeah, Agatha Christie, locked
Yeah.
room murder. This is what's happening. The police were able to rule out robbery pretty much straight away because all his money was lying on the dresser. His watch was there. There was shit that they could have taken, but they didn't. So this is a quote from Detective Captain James E. Childers from the Denver Post in about a couple of days after the crime. I couldn't find the exact date. The killer took his time to wash his hands and wipe off the murder instrument, so he had time to rob the place, basically. Okay. The police searched the entire house and found no evidence of anyone hiding. There was, however, a tiny panel in the roof of a closet that led to a crawl space, but it was way too small for anyone to fit through, and when the police officer pushed hard on it to see if it opened, it was stuck fast. Wouldn't open.
Oh my god.
So, ladies, pop quiz.
Yes.
Your husband has been brutally beaten to death inside your locked house. After you recover from hospital, you A, sell or rent out the house and go live with your adult children. B, set the house on fire, watch it burn to ash, the memories of your dead husband reflected in the flames in your eyes. Or C, move back in.
See?
Oh,
I've missed my shit. I've missed my husband's shit. I want
Okay.
to smell his clothes. I want to cry.
Yeah. See, oh, I know the correct answer because I can see where it's going, but I'm very extra and I would burn it to the fucking ground.
You fucking word.
So Helen Peters moved back in.
I would move
Yeah.
back in. This is the thing, is I don't think I'd be ready to admit that he's gone. It doesn't matter that I know he's dead. They could show me his body. I would want to move back in and turn around and see him come back through the door. Because that's how I feel like when I dream about JD dying. I have to, like, roll over like, you're alive. But yeah, like, I don't think I'd be ready to just say goodbye to my home that I'd had for 30 years with the, like, love of my life for all intents and purposes. Unless they were miserable together, but in which case I'd be like, fuck the house.
They sounded like pretty good. Solid.
But if it's like the difference, like murder versus just passing away,
Yeah.
like the
True.
visceral gore on the
True.
roof.
See that little bit of paint that's gone over your ceiling, you go, huh, part of him is embedded in my
Yeah.
fucking ceiling now.
Aw.
He's around me at all times. Oh, the fuck, that's really grim.
Yeah, he's around me at all times.
Yeah, there's a bit of him on the ceiling, on the floor.
Fucking Jesus.
I'm sorry.
So she moved back in with a nurse
Yep.
because she was still had a fractured hip. One night, something startled her and she fell and she fractured her thigh.
Oh, fucking hell.
She didn't want to go back to hospital, so she did have a live-in nurse that lived with her and could do, wash her, help her dress.
Yep, this is all sounds like my fucking nanny. She's done this shit too, and she refuses to go to hospital half the time.
Yep. So one night the nurse reported that there were, quote, goings on inside the walls and rattling noises.
Oh, I don't like that.
An investigation, she told the police this. The police were like looked everything. Nothing's there. She even reported seeing a, quote, a spook on the back stairs that chattered its teeth at her, unquote.
I don't like that. I really don't. Have you ever tried to chatter your teeth?
No. Like, when I'm cold, I'll just, like, can't do it without them.
It's a very weird, thing to do.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
It's very unnatural.
Yeah, it's weird.
So that nurse later days did it so hard. She was she was
bye.
not goodbye. Fuck this. So a neighbour stepped in to take care of Mrs. Peters.
Thank you, neighbour.
She's gonna wish she hadn't. In the months following, she and the neighbour, Mrs. Peters and the neighbour, reported food going missing and strange sounds in the night and objects that would get out of place.
I didn't know about this part. I don't remember reading this. Oh my god.
So, one night, the neighbour heard a mysterious noise and, without turning the light on,
What's wrong with you?
went to the kitchen to investigate.
What's wrong with you? I mean, even if I turn the light on and I see a dude standing there, I feel better knowing I can see him
Yeah.
now instead of just trying to walk past him.
Strolling on past. Yeah.
This is where she saw a ghost at the foot of the stairs. She told police, quote, it was filthy, wraith-like thing that vanished when I screamed, unquote. She also didn't know where it went.
Oh, I don't like it.
my
It
God.
didn't disapparate.
Yeah.
It fucking went somewhere.
Yeah.
And she did not fucking know where it went.
That's when you burn the house down.
Literally like finding a huntsman
Oh!
and going and you're like, fuck, there it is, the dinner plate of death on the wall. I'm gonna go get a fucking a container the size of a paddling pool to get rid of it, and then you come back.
Oh no, I move.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's actually genuinely scares me more than seeing a dude in my house. I
Yeah.
don't like them.
See, I get really impressed with how big huntsmen can
You're a
get.
fucking psychopath. What's wrong with you?
They're
Growing up in the country has fucking ruined your brain.
There are so many.
They're just like the big Irish wolfhounds of
so
spiders.
scary.
They're very fuzzy.
Big fussy
Oh, they're
spiders.
terrifying
All the legs.
to me.
I love
had
them.
one jump at me when I was a kid and it's fucked me up ever since.
I once felt fall on my tits from the roof once, just down my shirt,
no.
and it was awful.
I'm impressed that it could find you too.
Wait, so am I.
Itty bitty committee. When I lived in WA, they're everywhere. They're fucking everywhere. They like crawl up through your car
Yep.
thing.
They can live in cars for years.
Yeah, they live in cars for years and they'll come out of parts of your car. They'll come out from the aircon
Yeah.
a lot.
I've
But
been
one
there.
time I had a towel wrapped around me because I went and finished my shower. I went outside to get some clean undies off the line because it's very hot in WA and everything dries in like an hour. And I went out and I grabbed a pair of undies and I put them on and it felt weird in there. It felt fuzzy and it felt like there was something in there.
Oh, no.
So I reached down my butt and pulled it out and there was a fucking huntsman just sat in my palm. And threw it away and I've never, ever, ever put on a pair of underwear without looking in
You
them
had a
first.
huntsman on your cunt?
Yes, I did, and it's very upsetting.
It's the luckiest huntsman in the world.
Oh my
Neither of us
god.
were very happy
No.
about it. He was very stunned. He
Yeah.
didn't fucking bite me, thank fuck.
Oh my god.
It was horrible. It terrified the shit out of me. I don't like thinking about it now. I can feel it.
Moving on.
Okay.
What we're talking about.
So to go from there. So after that, okay, that was the last straw.
Yeah.
They left. Mrs. Peters went and go to live with her adult son.
Thank you, Mrs.
What she should have been
Thank
doing.
God.
And so the house on West Moncrief Place stood empty, or did it?
Oh, it didn't. No, it fucking didn't. There's that dude in there somewhere. He won.
So the neighbourhood collectively agreed that it was haunted as fuck. Okay?
It's not haunted. There's a fucking man living in there.
So, a group of children was walking past the bungalow, had reported seeing a light on in the empty house. Another neighbour said that they had seen a ghost face in a window.
Ghosts don't need fucking lights. It's a dude, I'm telling you.
Faces and windows.
The
I
police
don't like.
were not having it. They set up 2 detectives that were assigned to guard the house and keep watch for the ghost.
Wow.
This is fucking me up. I'm sorry. Oh, I love it.
It took 9 months,
Yep.
but then the detectives finally got a break. So it was now July 1942. 2 men from the Denver Police Department were stationed on a lookout across the street. And they were watching the postman go down the street making deliveries. The officer just looked up at the house and saw a fleeting glimpse of a, quote, hobgoblin face, unquote, between the curtains of the bungalow. Because the ghost at the window also liked to watch the postman. Dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun.
that's sinister.
weird.
I don't like that.
Elbowing the other police officer, they took off across the street. When they entered the house, they found it reeked of a strange animal smell.
Yeah, dude hasn't showered
And
for fucking months.
as they were searching the first floor, they heard a lock turning in a door upstairs. They fucking bounded up the stairs.
Oh my god.
Just in time to see a closet door swinging closed in the room. Detective Roy Bloxham opened the closet door where he saw a pair of the dirtiest fucking feet disappearing upward through the tiny panel that they had checked before.
He went up and he was, they were pushing on the thing. He's sitting on it. Something, he was,
It's stuck fast because he's on top of it.
Oh my god.
Watching your little fingies try to come and get around the edges.
The officer lunged at the feet and pulled the ghost out of the hidey hole.
Oh my
I
god.
love that they insisted it's still a ghost. It's a ghost?
It's a ghost. Police Chief James Childers described the man as, quote, the strangest looking human I had ever seen.
Oh my god.
He was a tall man, but thin as a wilted weed.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover. His dirty hair hung low over his ears, and his skin was the ugly colour of unwashed grey of an overcast sky, unquote.
Poetic.
So the man, when they got him...
Aspiring writer, this police.
So the ghost fainted as the officer pulled him out of the ceiling. The police captain ordered them to go to the doctor, and the guy was barely alive. He looked like he was starved. So I converted this. Okay. When the ghost was pulled out, he stood at 6 foot and weighed 75 pounds, or, for everyone else in this room, 183 centimetres and 35 kilos.
35.
That's very, very small. I'm not much shorter than that, and I weigh like 60, 70.
How much does the skeleton weigh?
13 kilos on average.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
I knew you'd ask that.
Oh, thank you for doing the research.
I knew you'd ask that. I don't know why.
Bless you.
So I'm about the body mass index, and I was like interested to see how underweight he was. So men of this height, they get underweight of a BMI of 18.5.
Okay.
This man had a BMI of 10.5. He
Oh my
was
God.
an absolute skeleton. He would have been
Shit.
the most frightening thing.
Horrible. And
Yeah.
yet he had the strength to beat an old man to death with a tire iron, basically.
But the house had been
Yeah.
left empty. He'd been getting food.
Before, when there were still people in the house.
So after feeding him a hamburger, an apple pie, and some coffee,
Very American.
And almost killing him because you should not give someone
No.
who's been starved that long.
yeah,
food
refeeding
straight
syndrome
away.
is a thing,
that's
and they would have actually known about. Actually, no, 1942, they wouldn't have known about refeeding syndrome.
Kind of wish they had, so they're like, watch this, boys.
Was that a thing they learned kind of after World War II?
It was
Yeah.
during the Holocaust when
Yes.
they were refeeding
Yeah, the
the people
Auschwitz.
from the concentration camps,
Yes.
and they wanted to feed them all the food.
And they couldn't.
And they couldn't-
It would have
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Dr. Carl,
Triple J, Dr. Carl?
Triple J,
Yeah.
Dr. Carl.
Oh, I thought you were joking. Genuinely.
Genuinely,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't pronounce his
He
last
has a fascinating history. His family's history is amazing, but he lost, I believe, an aunt to refeeding syndrome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He has I highly recommend, if anybody's interested in World War history, look up his story, his father, and amazing.
Super interesting. Holy shit.
So he came clean, this guy, Not Dr. Carl. Dr. Carl is fine.
Dr. Carl's doing okay.
He's doing fine. His name was Theodore Edward Conies, and he was a drifter that had been living in Peter's home since September 1941. So he'd been there nearly a year. And nobody noticed, you know.
Why did he murder him?
Except Mr. Peters. Mr. Peters noticed. So, Conies was born in Illinois in 1882. He was a sickly child. He was born with lots of respiratory problems, and the doctors thought that he wouldn't live past 18 or to 18. So seeing how he wasn't going to reach adulthood, Coney's mother pulled him out of school and stopped him from getting a job because, quote, he would die soon.
Oh, fucking hell.
So this really just sort of like robbed him of the education that he could have potentially had, and that kept him from showing a life of vagrancy. Conies met Philip Peters over 30 years ago when he joined the Denver Guitar Club and had been invited to their house to dine several times. Oh. So he knew him.
Wow.
So, this is a quote from him, the Denver Spider-Man. I was in the neighborhood in September 1941 and found the house unlocked and no one home. I went in and stole some food. I was in bad shape. My lungs were giving me a lot of trouble and I was at the end of my rope. Fall was coming on and I couldn't face another winter on the road. I had to have a place to stay. I didn't know Mrs. Peters was in the hospital. I found a hole in the closet, climbed through and slept and slept. Whenever I heard him downstairs, I kept real still. Then I got bolder and used to shadow him from room to room. It was sort of a game. It gave me a thrill.
Yuck.
It was the first time in my life that I'd ever had somebody at my mercy, but I didn't want to hurt him. It was a miserable hot in the summer and my feet froze in the dead of winter in the attic, but it was all part of the price I was willing to pay. I couldn't tell you why I stuck it out. I guess it was because mostly it was a world all my own. I used to go down and look through the windows and watch the postman come by. Nobody's written to me in 25 years. Whenever I saw people on the street, I hated them and then went back to my attic." Unquote.
Ew.
On the night of the 17th of October 1941, he thought Peters was out to dinner, but Peters was just taking a nap and entered to find Conies rifling through the icebox in the kitchen.
Oh.
So back to Conies. Quote, "Everything would have been all right and Phil Peters would still have been alive today if he hadn't caught me robbing the icebox. It was him or me. I thought he had gone out, but he was taking a nap. I hit him with a stove shaker when he tried to run for help. I don't know if he recognized me. It had been nearly 30 years since he'd last seen me. When it was over, I ran to the attic after I washed and dried the shaker. I was sitting on the trap door when you were pounding on it from below the night you found him."
Oh.
So here we go.
It wasn't fucking him or you. He ran away to get help. You could have left.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Nah. Sorry.
Okay. So, it was how Conies lived in this house that is the most disturbing thing. Okay, so the tiny panel was slightly bigger than an A4 size piece of paper.
What the fuck?
I think I could probably shove myself through. No, I couldn't. I have giant boobs. What am I talking about? I was just thinking about how you could like contort your shoulders.
Like how a cat gets under a door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
they get like liquid and yeah.
Yeah. Cats don't have a physical form.
No, they are the void. So when the police sent their smallest police officer in to see it, the stench overwhelmed him and he vomited.
Oh my god.
The hole he was living in was a few sizes larger than a coffin. He had made a bed out of old ironing boards and magazines and had collected all of his waste in jars. He'd been shitting up there and had not bathed since he first started living in the attic. So he stole food from them. He didn't go have a bath.
Fucking hell. Oh my god.
So Conies was charged and convicted of murder by jury, sentenced to life in prison, where he remained there until his death in May of 1967 at the age of 84. He said himself that jail was the best home he ever had.
I was going to fucking say.
He even became the prison librarian.
I was going to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ew.
So Officer Fred Zarno, said of the attic, quote, "A man would have to be a spider to stand it that long up in there." And that, ladies, is the true tale of the Denver Spider-Man.
Oh my god! That was so good. I've never heard of that before.
That was fucking
excellent.
great. I didn't know all the details, but I had heard a little bit about that happening before.
A year.
Because there's so many instances of it that I've heard of lately. Like the video of the guy, the woman that gets out of the man's house in Japan. She just crawls out of the cupboard while he's sitting there at his computer and he doesn't see her. There's lots of instances of that happening. There was one on Reddit I saw a while ago where there was apparently a woman who went to stay in a hotel and someone had been in her room and she couldn't figure out what was going on. The police were like not able to help her. No one could figure out how the fuck someone had gotten in her room. It was locked, everything. Then she came home and found, like, to her hotel and found the mirror in the bathroom was not on the wall. It was off. There was a woman that had been living behind the mirror and like going through her shit and all sorts of shit. But she was there when she was sleeping. Terrifying.
Oh, I don't like
so
it.
So scary. The photos are like unsettling.
And even that guy who crawled into a different house to watch somebody else's baby sleep. So there's footage of it.
Oh my god.
I don't like that.
Yeah. He was a neighbour and he would creep across.
Oh.
And
because a lot of older houses still have all the attics and things connected.
Especially like duplexes and things like that.
Oh.
And houses that are built like together and they look like the same house.
Oh yeah, people could there's a crawl space in the bathroom.
Oh no!
Or at least there's a thing in the ceiling that would lead up to something.
I use the bathroom so much.
Yeah, exactly. There's probably some dude there.
It's a Spider-Man.
Oh, just a spider. I don't need a Spider-Man. A spider's enough to scare me.
Fuck.
That's fucking upsetting. I don't like that. That's really sad.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I aim to please.
Yes.
Yeah, fuck. Well, okay. How do I follow that shit? Well, my laptop won't sign in. So I did paranormal.
Ooh.
I had a little bit of trouble finding something, but Lacey put me on a path that I became quite enamored with. I could have gone with Krampus, classic.
Yes.
But I figured everyone knows a bit about Krampus. So yeah, I thought I'd do something different. I figured, let's look at a different kind of home invasion. Instead of Santa creaming down your chimney in the dead of night, creaming down your chimney. Creeping down your chimney. There's no snow in Australia, but there is cream.
There is cream.
Santa creeping down your chimney in the dead of night to stare at your sleeping kids. What if all the junk in your house came to life and tried to murder you? Do, do, do.
Oh.
You might know what this is.
Yes,
you
please.
fucking weeb.
I'm new to weebing.
Yeah, you're a little baby weeb. Both of you disgust me. You're a cancer on society. So according to Jeff, get out.
What did you say? Okay, I'll ask you later.
So according to Japanese folklore, you should genuinely be worried about this. So basically, in Japan, there's lots and lots and lots of different types of ghosts, lots of different types of demons, just so many. And one of them is called Tsukogami. I'm going to mispronounce all of this. Be ready for that. Please yell at me online, people. I've just picked how I'm going to say it. We're going to stick with that, and I'm ready to take the pain. So the name literally means tool kami, and kami means spirit. The story is that objects that have served people for 100 years undergo a transformation and gain a spirit and sentience.
Holy shit, my parents' house is so haunted.
Oh yeah, your fucking parents' house is just...
Why do they buy antiques? They bring that shit on themselves.
like antiques, they're cool. It's a price to pay for style.
Yeah. And also there's the whole thing about like, I haven't made a new crappy plastic thing enter the world. I'm using this old shit.
It's mahogany.
I don't know. Mahogany. I know you in particular, Tay. Love weird ghosts and ghouls that come out of Japan. Do you have a favourite?
The Kappa's lit.
Yeah.
The little like weird frog dude with the bowl patch.
Little
so
bowl
good.
of water on his head. Very cute.
Yeah. Also the one that I can't remember what it's called, but it's supposed to have like sandals on and you can hear it like walking behind you, and I think you don't look at it, but you step to the side and you say you let him pass, and there's like a phrase, and then a They go do 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 do, and it's like its neighbours like onomatopoeia of the sound it makes. That's pretty cool.
There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's a lot of like weirdly conversational spirits as well.
Yes.
We'll get into it in a little bit, but pretty much there's like a shitload of Japanese ghosts. There's also a shitload of tsukogami or tsukumogami. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, so basically some things are less likely to gain a spirit, obviously. I mean, no one's going to keep a toilet brush around for 100 years. Then again, I have lived with some dudes and some girls who would legitimately do that.
Big yikes.
Even though the brush was never used because they are filthy. But that doesn't mean there aren't some buck-wild spirits roaming around Japan. So the weirdest one I found is the bakizori. It's just sandal. It's just a little sandal. Has arms, it has legs, and it has one little eye.
Oh.
And he likes to run around the house chanting shit about a more famous type of sandal. Yeah. So he hates the geta, or however the fuck you say it, the gita. I'm just trying to think about Japanese pronunciation and fucking it up. But the bakizori are specifically a zori sandal, which is like a traditional one made of rice straw. They like to organise shoes and put them away. They apparently have a thing for bare feet. Quentin Tarantino. They don't like it when a sock comes between them and bare skin, so they'll eat any sock that gets in the way.
Fuck, my dog is one.
Yes, assert dominance over the sock.
The sock demon.
So cute.
I know it is. They're not dangerous, but they do get bored, and sometimes they'll like team up with other little like house ghost spirits and annoy people. Alternatively, they'll do what bratty 9-year-old me did and run away from home.
Just one little sandal.
Yeah, they just go on their way, they run away.
That's really
That's why you can
more
only
people.
find one shoe so often because they ran away.
Oh, okay.
So that's a cute one. I thought it was sweet, but there were also very, very creepy ones.
Bring it on.
Very fucking creepy. So public bathrooms, not ideal, or already a very creepy place. Fujikyu Highland Park in Japan, I really, really needed to pee. And the only toilet I could find was a traditional one, which is on the
The drop
ground.
ones?
It's just a fucking hole.
They're fun.
And I was also quite drunk. And I did pee on myself a little. I was very upset about it. But it could have been worse. I could have met Akamanto.
Is that a shit demon?
You will see.
Okay.
He's a very attractive man in some of these tales, but who knows? He's masked and he has a red cloak and he hangs out in public bathrooms, specifically ladies' public bathrooms, and he's usually in the last stall. Traumatic. I mean, even if you're good looking, please don't come in the bathroom while I'm trying to pee. It freaks me out.
I'm spooked.
Don't like it.
I'm so scared of the toilets at uni and I don't know why. Maybe it is literally there. Oh
maybe,
my God. I'm
maybe
terrified.
don't use the last stall.
I never do, and it's always the spooky one. It's always one that freaks me out.
I think it's just that our uni is decrepit and old and
No
not
one
very
knows how
nice.
to use the bathroom either.
No one knows how to use the bathroom.
Continue.
Akamanto does this thing, and this is something I've noticed happens a couple of times with Japanese ghost story. He asks you a question.
Yes.
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 Have either of you heard of the slit mouth woman?
Yes.
Yeah, she's probably the most famous one. There's a lot of other ones that do this as well. In Japan, she's called Kuchisaki Onna, and that literally means slit mouth woman. She's a malicious spirit who covers her mouth with a mask and something like that, like her face is covered, or at least her mouth is covered. And she'll pretty much ask people whether they think she's attractive. If you say no, she'll kill you with some sort of sharp object, scissors, knife, whatever. If you say yes, she'll take off her mask and show you that her mouth has been slit from ear to ear. She'll then ask you again if you think she's attractive. No gets you stabbed to death. Yes gets your mouth cut to mirror hers. No win.
There's no win here.
You can tell her she's average and run away, or distract her with candy. So,
Ooh.
typical woman. Fucking
Yeah.
give her some chocolate.
Big mood.
Fucking bullshit. So, Akamanto is like the slit mouth woman. He also asks you a question that apparently you can't fucking win with. He asks you whether you want red toilet paper or blue toilet paper.
Oh God, more.
Is that like the red pill and the blue pill?
Yeah, maybe. Matrix or...
Matrix toilet paper. And like your gash like goes into like some sort of alternate reality.
wakes up.
Oh God.
What the fuck?
And then you have like a Barbie doll part. Like it's not like there's no vagina there.
You just spent way too long thinking about this in like 3 seconds.
I see all of the cogs turning. It's pretty
Yeah, no.
Oh God, what happens when you pick each colour?
If you say red, he'll murder you in some unknown way that'll leave you completely covered in your own blood. You might be flayed, you might be stabbed. Who knows? Blue will get you anything from being strangled, so I guess you're blue in the face. I don't know.
I see it. Yeah.
To having all your blood drained out of you.
Yeah, you get okay.
Yeah, neither of them sound nice. Again, you can outsmart him. I don't know if I'd use that word because it's not really fucking outsmarting someone if you're like red or blue and you're like, haha, none.
I'm a dirty fucker.
I will shit in my own hands.
Use it. Just pull your pants up, dominance move. It might not go the way you'd like it to, but you can either ask him for a different colour of toilet paper, and that apparently is confusing to him. Yeah, or he'll get annoyed and just drag you to hell. Alternatively. Yeah. So if you ignore him, you might get left alone, or you can just run away. But I'm trying to imagine being on the toilet, like, doing my business, doing the thing you do on the toilet, and some dude rocks up to my stall out of nowhere in a fucking tuxedo mask cape.
That's what I'm picturing.
Yes!
As tuxedo mask.
A good-looking dude in a fucking red cape, and he asks which colour of toilet paper I want. What if I'm not finished?
I don't know yet.
Just pinching off a log. I'm like, red. I don't know. What if you're trying to change a tampon?
Yeah.
Like, halfway through, he's stripping your pad off, and you're just like,
I brought my own red toilet paper.
yeah, exactly. Like, can you run away while you're peeing? I don't know if I physically can. I've never tried
You just
to
run away
run
with, like,
piss.
Piss runs down your legs.
Yeah. I'd rather live
yeah.
than be pissy.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Especially like if you're out in public. Yeah, okay. But there's a weird number of ghosts in Japan that have to do with the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you already know one of them I'm going to talk about. There is a toilet god who was born from a primordial earth goddess's excrement. Yep, pretty. There's the Akaname, the yokai that licks the filth that gathers in the bathrooms and bathtubs. Yep, gross. There's a little girl known as Hanako-san of the toilet who either died by playing hide and seek in a school bathroom during an air raid or was murdered by... Yeah, I know, right? Grim.
Grim.
Or was murdered by an abusive parent in the bathroom or took her own life while in the bathroom. Either way.
She died in the bathroom.
Yeah, she died in the bathroom.
She died in the bathroom.
The worst place, the Elvis Presley death. If you want to use a public girl's toilet, you have to knock 3 times on the 3rd stall and ask if Hanako-san is there. She will potentially either pull you into the toilet, which is a portal of hell.
No, please.
Yep. Or you get eaten by a 3-headed lizard.
I would much prefer that.
Yeah, I don't know why those are the 2 options. Like, that's what happens. It's
Buck wild.
Yeah, wild lizard.
Lizard. Where did this come?
Lizard people.
Yeah, but why? Like, there's nothing else in this myth that has anything to do with
Cerberus
it.
lizard.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, okay, that sounds normal. Yeah. I found a really wonderful blog on mythology that covers the Moku Moku Ren. Basically, most traditional Japanese homes have these really beautiful sliding paper walls.
Yes.
Paper is really easy to put a hole in.
Yep.
So when the door and the walls end up with lots of holes and feel mistreated, they manifest as a wall filled with hundreds of eyes.
Oh
no!
Yeah.
Fuck no! The walls have eyes?
Yes, the walls have hundreds of them.
I like it.
Oh, what the fuck?
There's a story of a guy who tries to sleep in a house with a moku moku and possessing it. Just wraps a blanket around him over his whole body so he can block out the eyes and ignore them.
Yeah.
Just leave, dude.
That's like a very children's, if I'm under the blanket, the monster can't see me. Yeah.
If I put my leg over the end of the bed, it'll bite it off. So yeah, he woke up and he discovered his eyeballs are gone.
Just woke up, can't see.
I love that because there's another story, different dude, not like the same story. There's legitimately just another dude who tried to do a similar thing. Apparently this guy's a super frugal merchant, so it's me, who didn't want to pay for an inn for the night. Still me. Night falls and the Moku Moku Ren appears to terrify and disturb the cheap salesman. Instead of losing his mind, he just pops all the eyeballs out and takes them with him. And he sells them to a surgeon who uses them as replacement eyes for people who've lost their hair.
That's good.
So what do you do when you have got a fucking demon eye in you?
Jessica Alba's the eye. We're like, there's a movie about it.
Naruto.
Black Butler.
Yeah, exactly. I'm convinced this has already fucking happened. My favourite is the... Shironureri. That's not how you fucking say it. I don't know. Shiro nu. I don't know. It's a word.
Spell it.
Shirouneri.
Neri. Shironurei? Neri? I
don't know. Who fucking knows?
I can't.
There's a word. I
Yeah.
spelled it. You know what it is. He's a little dragon made of rags.
Oh,
Really cute.
Oh my God,
I really want one.
I really want one.
I
It's really
know.
cute.
Basically, he's like, he possesses old mosquito nets and dusting cloths and dish rags and junk. He's ferocious but tiny, and he goes around chasing people and wrapping his slimy, mildewy body around their heads.
Oh, it's so sweet.
It's so sweet. They occasionally do accidentally kill people, but usually they're just like trying to be mischievous.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't mean
Whoops.
it.
yeah, I didn't mean it. There's also possessed sake jars with cracked
yes.
old faces and hairy hands that produce unlimited supplies of booze.
That's a good one.
Can I have one of those?
I mean, like, if I fucking find one, it's mine. It's not yours.
Oh,
Can
shit.
it be our little sake man ghost?
Yes, it can be.
Sake. Sake is my undoing.
It's so good.
Shoju is the one that does me up. It's
I-
like the South Korean equivalent, and you can get little bottles of it here for
I
like
enjoy
$8,
soju, yeah.
and it fucks you up.
Yeah.
It really does.
I made a horrible decision by mixing sake, red wine, and tequila.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Um,
Not
and-
in one drink,
well-travelled
right?
woman.
Multiple drinks.
I'm not a religious person, but I felt like getting down on my knees in the dirt and pleading to God to end my life.
Yeah, you made a terrible decision.
Incorrect.
Oh God, it was so bad. I've never been so ill.
I can see the flashbacks.
I've never been so
Behind your
ill
eyes.
and so self-aware at the same time.
That's the worst part when you're like chucking your guts up, but you know why you've done this.
You know, I couldn't vomit.
Oh no.
It was
do you mean?
it was like just continuous vertigo.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, oh no, don't do it, guys.
Well, to continue, itan momen are big spots of cloth that pop up and suffocate people in themselves. They're like dressmakers' cloth.
Oh.
Why would you have it around for 100 years? Don't fucking know. Why didn't I try and think about how to pronounce this shit beforehand? Morinji no Okama are haunted tea kettles that transform into tanuki.
Oh yeah.
I knew you'd like this. So for anyone who doesn't know, they are Japanese raccoon dogs, which are massive in Japanese folklore.
Oh.
They are shapeshifter spirits, and they use their giant testicles to do incredible things.
Oh, they're big old balls.
Yeah, they got real big balls.
Oh, I know exactly what the fuck they are.
Yeah. Isn't it?
All those
The
random.
testicles are what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you would fucking know that.
No,
Jesus
I just
Christ.
realised those little like statues with bears with the huge balls.
Yeah, that's a tanuki.
That's a tanuki.
Yeah. Okay. What the fuck? All right, I'll learn something today.
I read that it's because back in the day when they were like gold, something to do with gold leaf, the workers who worked gold leaf needed something to hammer that was like really soft and stretchy. And they used testicles of animals, and the ones from
Of themselves.
no, and because the testicle skin of like the Japanese raccoon dog was apparently super stretchy, they were like, you can stretch it as many as 100 tatami, which are like those little
Yeah.
mats.
It's like in the Ghibli film when they use them as a parachute.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
They do all sorts of whack shit with it.
Japan.
Yeah. Anyway, Yamaroshi are vegetable graters that turn into porcupines, 100-year-old futons, which are like thin mattress bedrolls that most people use in Japan, Bikon Boroboroton, which will murder you in your sleep if you didn't take good care of them.
Oh god.
There are umbrella ghosts, lantern ghosts, gong ghosts, mirror ghosts, clock ghosts.
Oh.
Cock ghosts.
Of course you would fucking
Yeah.
Saddle ghosts, anything you can own in the home, it can end up haunted. So why? I thought it was super weird. Like, why the fuck would all your stuff be haunted? Nobody wants that. So why would you be like, yeah, it's haunted? Japanese folklore has featured ghosts for a long, long fucking time, like centuries, and they still feature really heavily in everyday life for people now, to the point that there are incident homes. Rent in Japan is like outrageous. It is super fucking expensive, but there are houses or apartments where people have died unnaturally. So like suicide, murder, neglect, anything else that's not tapping out from old age.
Tapping out from old age.
They are classed as incident homes, and they are rented out 50% cheaper than an identical home in the area.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I know, right? Me too.
Yeah.
Legally, the prospective renter has to be informed of the death. But
Good.
only the first person to rent after the death has occurred.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they get the discount?
Yeah. Well, yes, they will get the discount. But like the second person to move in, you don't have to tell them shit. You don't have to talk about it at all.
But do they get the discount still?
Probably not. Not unless it's like very known or
haunted.
obvious or something.
Okay.
But I couldn't find anything that really said yes.
All right. Yep.
People refuse to live in those homes, though, even though they're a lot cheaper, just because of the really persistent belief that the previous tenant will come back as a vengeful ghost and haunt them. There's a lot of really interesting information on female ghosts, specifically like yurei, which is different to yokai and mononoke and all that sort of thing. They're women that have a low social standing compared to the majority of men, like back in the day. So their only possible vengeance against the people who wronged them was as an angry spirit, which is kind of like shit. Like, you get to be like the vengeful ghost of the story, but only after you've been raped and murdered and now you're dead. Like, that's your only way to get back at these fucking people. But pretty much, like, some articles I read seems to suggest that it has to do with Japan's really turbulent culture changes, like wars and depressions and famines and earthquakes and tsunamis, the rise of technology. But I don't really think that it's any more than any other country. So maybe it has something to do with how isolated the place is. Japan's still got like 90% of their population, 98% of their population is ethnic Japanese. There's like not from outside countries or anything like that, which is huge compared to other developed countries. So I don't know. Why is Japan obsessed with ghosts, and why is it still a thing that people genuinely believe in? If you know, tell me, because I want to know. Contact us. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, email. Give us a review. Please fucking give us a review. Tell us how we're doing. We're obsessed.
Validation, please.
We are on Twitter as Tay. I don't know any of them. You have to tell them.
We're on Twitter at Wyrd Sisters Cast, and we're on Instagram at Wyrd Sisters Podcast.
Amazing. I got all my sources today and y'all didn't fucking say shit, so just a reminder, I got a lot of my information from a website called yokai.fandom.com. Mental Floss was very helpful. Lacey, you linked me that initial article. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Many Wikipedia articles. There's a website called willowweb.com, which is a lovely blog by a woman who studies folklore and fairy tales. Her name's Amelia Starling, and she had lovely info.
Thank you, Amelia.
Yeah, I would generally recommend if you guys ever look at info about other folklore stuff. And then some Tumblr shit.
Yeah.
Tumblr is a good time. My sources are Wikipedia, Murderpedia, USA Today, prisonmuseum.org, and of course Ranker's Graveyard Shift. Favorite deep dive.
So all of my sources today were, again, Ranker. Thank you, Lacey. Also Atlas Obscura. Yes. And good old Wikipedia.
Bless Wikipedia. You have so been helpful to us.
Thank you.
Crones. I'm done for today. I'm finished. How
Merry
are
Christmas,
you feeling?
Crones.
Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yay.
Merry Krampus.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I hope a fat man invades your homes this Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Frankston, so that's very possible.
I'm going to go home tonight and try to not be terrified of all the crawl spaces in the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Thanks, Lacey.
Well, just check that there's not a dude sitting on them.
I mean, if there is, what the fuck do you do? Just put it back down and go, bye?
And he can buy his ankles.
You could just lock him up there and wait for him to die in the walls.
I don't have any locks, and I'm renting. I cannot put holes in the wall or ceiling. I'm just going to have to be like, hello, good night.
Make him pay rent.
Make him pay rent.
You're living in a CBD apartment. The cunt needs to pay rent.
You fucking do. All right, ladies, I'm done. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thanks for listening to our inane ramblings and our wonderful stories.
Yes.
See you next time.
See you in a fortnight.